You've probably heard about it. Maybe you've even tried it yourself. Every November, millions of men around the world take on a challenge that sounds simple but feels impossible. 30 days, no release, no exceptions. But here's what nobody tells you. While you're counting down the days, your body is going through changes you can't see, shifts happening at a microscopic level that science has only recently begun to understand. Some of these changes might surprise you. Others might completely change how you think about this entire practice. And there's one biological process your body triggers automatically that makes the whole challenge almost pointless. But we'll get to that. The question everyone wants answered is this: is holding back actually good for you? Or is it just another internet trend with no real benefits? The answer is more complicated than you think, and it involves testosterone, fertility, and what your body does when you push it past its natural limits. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your body right now. Semen retention, in its simplest form, is the practice of avoiding ejaculation completely. No sexual activity, no self-pleasure, no release whatsoever. For 30 days straight, participants commit to this abstinence, often as part of a larger online community that shares experiences, struggles, and supposed benefits. Some men report feeling more focused, more disciplined, more motivated. They talk about having clearer minds, better productivity, and even feeling like they have more energy throughout the day. If those psychological or even spiritual benefits work for someone personally, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Personal experience matters. And if someone finds value in the challenge beyond just the physical aspects, that's a valid reason to participate. But here's where things get interesting, and where we need to draw a clear line between personal anecdotes and actual scientific evidence. Because once you strip away the testimonials and the success stories, once you look past the online forums, filled with men claiming they feel like they've unlocked some hidden potential, you're left with one simple question: what does the actual research say? And more importantly, what's really happening in your body at a biological level? Because the claims you'll hear are bold. People say semen retention dramatically boosts testosterone levels, that it improves fertility and sperm quality, that it builds up massive amounts of semen volume, that it somehow gives you superpowers, ranging from better athletic performance to increased attractiveness. These aren't small claims. These are life-changing promises that, if true, would make this practice something every man should seriously consider. But are they true? Let's break down each claim one by one and see what the science actually reveals. Let's tackle the biggest claim first: testosterone. This is the one you'll hear about most often. Men participating in these challenges often report feeling more aggressive, more confident, more driven. They attribute these feelings to skyrocketing testosterone levels, assuming that by retaining semen, they're somehow building up this crucial male hormone. It makes intuitive sense, right? You're holding back, so surely something must be building up inside you. But intuition and biology don't always align. So what does the research actually show? The truth is, there have only been 2 significant studies examining the relationship between abstinence and testosterone levels. Just 2, and both were remarkably small in scale. The first study involved only 10 men. The second had 29 participants. In the world of medical research, these are tiny sample sizes, which immediately means we should be cautious about drawing sweeping conclusions. The first study did find something interesting. A small increase in testosterone after 3 weeks of abstinence. On the surface, this seems to support the claim. Men abstained, testosterone went up, case closed. But there's a critical detail that changes everything about how we should interpret this result. The men in this study knew something important about the study design. They were told in advance that at the end of the 3-week period, they would be allowed to watch adult material and masturbate. Think about what that means for a moment. For 3 weeks, these men weren't just abstaining randomly. They were abstaining with a specific date marked on their calendar, a known endpoint where they would get relief. Their brains were anticipating that reward for the entire duration of the study. And here's what we know about anticipation and testosterone. The expectation of a reward, especially a sexual reward, can temporarily increase testosterone levels. It's not the abstinence itself causing the increase. It's the psychological state of anticipation, of knowing that satisfaction is coming. This is similar to what happens before any anticipated rewarding event. Your brain starts preparing your body for what's coming, and hormones shift accordingly. So when you remove that element of anticipation, when you're just abstaining without a known endpoint, that testosterone bump likely disappears. The second study found something different, but equally revealing. Researchers observed a small spike in testosterone around day 7 of abstinence. Men who had been abstaining for a week showed a modest increase in their testosterone levels. But here's the part that matters most. That increase didn't last. Shortly after day 7, testosterone levels dropped back down to baseline. They didn't keep climbing. They didn't maintain the elevated level. They just returned to normal, as if the body had corrected itself and found its natural equilibrium again. So if there is any effect at all from abstinence on testosterone, it appears to be extremely short-lived and more psychological than biological. Your body isn't actually building up massive stores of testosterone just because you're not ejaculating. The hormonal system is far more complex than that, with multiple feedback loops and regulatory mechanisms that keep testosterone within a normal range regardless of sexual activity. This makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. If abstinence dramatically increased testosterone, then men throughout history who went through periods without sexual access would have experienced wild hormonal swings, which would have been detrimental to survival and functioning. Instead, the body maintains homeostasis, keeping hormone levels stable across a wide range of circumstances. Now let's move to fertility, because this is where things get really surprising, and where the scientific evidence actually contradicts what many people assume. You might think that holding back would improve fertility. After all, you're not depleting your reserves, so surely you're building up a more potent supply, right? More sperm, healthier sperm, better chances of conception. This seems logical, but biology doesn't always follow our logical assumptions. And in this case, the research shows something completely different. Multiple studies have examined the relationship between abstinence duration and sperm quality, and the findings are remarkably consistent. The longer you abstain from ejaculation, the more your semen quality actually starts to decline. This decline becomes particularly noticeable after about 5 to 7 days of abstinence. What happens during this decline? Several things, and none of them are good if you're trying to conceive. First, sperm DNA quality decreases. The genetic material inside the sperm cells starts to degrade over time. This isn't because the sperm are dying necessarily, but because the longer they sit in the reproductive tract without being released, the more they're exposed to oxidative stress, and other factors that damage their DNA. Second, sperm morphology worsens. Morphology refers to the shape of the sperm, and healthy sperm have a specific structure: an oval head, a midpiece, and a tail. As abstinence continues, a higher percentage of sperm develop abnormal shapes, which reduces their ability to successfully fertilize an egg. Third, sperm motility declines. Motility is the ability of sperm to swim effectively, and this is crucial for conception because sperm need to travel through the female reproductive tract to reach the eggs. Older sperm that have been sitting around longer show reduced motility, meaning they're less capable of making that journey. All of these factors combine to reduce overall fertility potential. So if you're actively trying to conceive with a partner, long-term abstinence actually works against you. This is the opposite of what many people believe. The research suggests that for optimal fertility, regular ejaculation is actually better than extended abstinence. This keeps the sperm fresh, keeps the DNA quality high, and maintains good morphology and motility. But there is a sweet spot, which we'll discuss in more detail shortly, because there is an optimal window of abstinence that does provide benefits without crossing into the territory where quality starts declining. There is one claim about semen retention that actually holds up consistently across multiple studies, and that's the claim about volume. Yes, semen volume does increase with short-term abstinence, and this is well documented in the scientific literature. Several large systematic reviews have examined this question, pooling data from multiple studies to get a clearer picture of what happens to semen volume over time when men abstain from ejaculation. What these reviews found is that semen volume increases at a rate of approximately 12% per day for the first 4 days of abstinence. So if you abstain for 1 day, your volume increases by about 12%. Abstain for 2 days, and it's roughly 24% higher than your baseline. By day 4, you've accumulated a substantial increase in volume compared to daily ejaculation. But here's the critical part that most people don't realize. After those first 4 days, the rate of increase slows down dramatically. It doesn't keep climbing at 12% per day forever. Instead, the body begins to reabsorb what isn't being released. Your reproductive system doesn't have unlimited storage capacity, and it doesn't just keep producing semen indefinitely without limit. Once you reach a certain threshold, your body starts breaking down and reabsorbing the older seminal fluid to make room for new production. This is a normal, healthy process that prevents buildup to excessive or uncomfortable levels. So while you might see significant volume increases in those first few days, holding out for weeks doesn't give you proportionally greater volume. You hit a ceiling, and then your body maintains that level through reabsorption. And this brings us to the one thing that almost everyone who attempts extended abstinence forgets about or doesn't want to acknowledge: nocturnal emissions, commonly known as wet dreams. If you go long enough without ejaculating while awake, your body will eventually trigger an involuntary release during sleep. This isn't a rare occurrence or a sign of weakness or failure. This is your body's completely normal and healthy way of maintaining hormonal balance and preventing uncomfortable buildup. Nocturnal emissions serve an important biological function. They reset the system, clear out older seminal fluid, and maintain the health of the reproductive tract. They're not something you can control through willpower or discipline. They're an automatic physiological response, like sweating when you're hot or shivering when you're cold. This means that for many men attempting extended abstinence, the challenge essentially resets itself, whether they want it to or not. The body doesn't care about your participation in a 30-day challenge. It cares about maintaining its own equilibrium and health. And when it determines that equilibrium has been disrupted by too much buildup or too much time without release, it takes matters into its own hands and triggers an emission during sleep. This is completely involuntary and completely healthy. It's not a personal failing. It's not a lack of self-control. It's just biology doing exactly what it's designed to do. Understanding this helps put the entire practice of extended semen retention into proper perspective. Your body has built-in limits and built-in safety mechanisms that prevent you from taking things too far, whether you're aware of them or not. So given all of this information, what's the actual optimal approach if you're concerned about semen volume or sperm health? The research suggests that the sweet spot is around 4 to 5 days of abstinence before ejaculation. This is the window where you get the maximum benefit in terms of volume increase, without crossing into the territory where sperm quality starts to decline. If you abstain for 4 or 5 days, you'll have significantly higher semen volume than if you ejaculate daily, but you won't have waited so long that sperm DNA quality, morphology, and motility have started to worsen. Beyond that 5-day mark, there's really no added benefit. You're not getting significantly more volume because your body is reabsorbing what you're producing, and you're potentially harming sperm quality by letting them age in the reproductive tract. For couples who are actively trying to conceive, the scientific data provides clear guidance that contradicts the idea that prolonged abstinence helps with fertility. The research shows that having intercourse every other day during the fertile window gives the best results. The fertile window is the period right before and during ovulation, typically spanning about 6 days in a woman's cycle. By having intercourse every other day during this window, you're maintaining fresh, high-quality sperm, while also ensuring that sperm are present in the female reproductive tract when ovulation occurs. This approach balances frequency with quality, giving you the best statistical chance of successful conception. Daily intercourse is fine too, and doesn't significantly harm sperm quality in most men, but every other day is often recommended as a practical approach that reduces pressure while maintaining excellent conception odds. So here's what we can conclude from all the available evidence. Semen retention, particularly the 30-day challenges that have become popular, is surrounded by a lot of myths and exaggerated claims. The promise of dramatically boosted testosterone doesn't hold up under scientific scrutiny. At best, there might be a tiny short-lived bump around day 7, but it's not the sustained increase that would actually impact your physiology in meaningful ways. The promise of improved fertility is actually backwards. Extended abstinence reduces fertility potential, not enhances it. And while volume does increase, it plateaus after a few days, and your body starts managing the excess through reabsorption and, if you go long enough, through nocturnal emissions that you can't control. These aren't superpowers. These are normal biological processes that have been misunderstood and mythologized by internet culture. Does this mean there's no value in attempting these challenges? Not necessarily. If someone finds that participating in this type of challenge helps them with mental focus, with building discipline, with breaking habits they feel are negative, or with achieving some sense of personal accomplishment, those benefits are real even if they're psychological rather than biological. Personal motivation and mental clarity are valuable things, and if a structured challenge helps someone achieve those states, that's worthwhile. But it's crucial to approach it with realistic expectations, based on actual science, rather than inflated promises based on myths and anecdotes. Your body is designed for balance, not for extremes. It has regulatory systems in place to maintain homeostasis across virtually all functions, including reproductive function. When you try to push things to extremes, your body responds by bringing things back to equilibrium, either through changes in production rates, through reabsorption, or through involuntary emissions. So whether someone is doing this 30-day challenge for personal reasons, out of curiosity as part of a community experience, or because they genuinely believe it will give them some kind of edge, they should understand what's actually happening inside their body. The volume increase in the first few days is real. The testosterone superpowers are not. The fertility enhancement is actually the opposite of what happens, and the body's automatic reset through nocturnal emissions means that extended abstinence often defeats itself anyway. These are the facts. Based on the limited but consistent research we have available, this is what's actually occurring at a biological level when men attempt extended semen retention, stripped of the hype and the mythology that's built up around these practices online.